All right, guys, so today we are talking about writing and solving systems of equations. Here's your warm-up on the board. Find the solution to negative 6m plus 8 equals 4, 17 minus m. All right, so they want us to find the solution. We're just solving. We're solving for a letter. We're solving for x in this case, or in this case, it's actually an m, but it's the same thing. First thing that I want to do is go ahead and distribute. So I'm going to have my calculator on hand just in case I need it for when I am distributing and multiplying. So first off, this part should be easy. Negative 6m minus 8 equals 4 times 17. That right there, I'm typing in my calculator so I can make sure I have the accurate number of 68 minus 4m. Now all my m's need to get to one side, my constants need to be on the other. I'm going to add 4m to both sides, so my m's are on the left. Doesn't matter which side you had picked as long as you picked one side. Negative 2m minus 8 equals 68. Now let's add 8 to both sides. Again, to make sure I have an accurate number, I'm going to go ahead and type this in my calculator. Even though I could probably have gotten 76 in my head, I like to be on the safe side, so I make sure I'm doing this correctly. Now again, I'm going to go ahead and in my calculator divide by negative 2. So I make sure I get the accurate answer of m equals negative 38. Now on your STAAR test, when you guys need to bubble in your answers, like in this case, negative 38. All we're going to do is put the negative 38 in here, but you must make sure you actually bubble in the numbers and the correct sign. The positive sign is not as important as the negative. If you have a negative number, you must make sure it gets bubbled in. So this right here is how you bubble in your answer. Okay, so make sure that you remember that when you're taking your STAAR test. All right, let's get to now today's topic of writing and solving systems of equations. Systems of equations. That was back where we would graph two linear equations. Sometimes we would have one solution where we would only cross, the two lines would cross one time. So there's only one time they cross. There's other times where you have no solutions because the slopes are exactly the same. The lines are parallel. There's other times where you have infinite solutions where the lines are exactly the same. There's no difference between the two equations. They both have the same slope, the same y-intercept, the same coordinates, everything's the same. Now, when it comes to finding the solution to a system, this is always going to be a point. You must write it as a point unless told otherwise. There's sometimes where they're going to ask you to find just the x value, or sometimes they're going to just ask you for the y value, but still a solution is a point. So one way we can do this is by graphing these in our calculators. So how do we do that? Well, first things first, you must have your equations equal to 0. You can't, not equal to 0, equal to y. You must have both equations equal to y, otherwise you cannot graph these in your calculator accurately. So one of our equations is already equal to y, but our second one is not. So we have to change this by adding y to both sides to now have 2x plus y equals 5, and then subtract 2x from both sides to get y equals 5 minus 2x. All right, so now I pull my calculator over. As a reminder, you will not have Desmos when you're taking your STAAR test. So you want to pay attention to how to do this on your actual calculator. So when you're on the home screen, you want to go to this U shape down here where the parabola is and click on that. This allows you to be able to type your equations in. Never ever delete what you see there. Okay, leave that as is and then type in negative x plus 1, because that is the first equation we have set to y equals. Then press enter. Now, in order to get a second line, you're going to need to press tab. Again, do not delete anything that's in the equation already. You're now just going to type in 5 minus 2x, because that was the second equation we got. And then enter. You might want to write down those steps so you have an idea of what you need to do in the calculator, especially if you don't have a calculator physically at home right now. These graphing calculators are what you are going to see when you come take your STAAR test. Again, not Desmos. All right, so the question is, how do we find the coordinate where these two lines are intersecting? It's not like Desmos where I can just click on the graph and it'll tell me the coordinates. But there is a way to do it. Press Menu, then go down to Analyze Graph. And when you get here to this Analyze Graph, there's a lot of different things that could be useful to you. When you're trying to find zeros, that's a good spot to come to. If you're trying to find out what the minimum coordinate or the maximum coordinate of a quadratic is, that might be something useful. But we are trying to find the point where our lines intersect. So that's why we clicked on intersection. So now what we want to do is, using our mouse, which you will use this mouse right here and use this to move your hand around, click on the left side of the graph, then click on the right side. When you move your mouse after clicking the left side, notice I'm getting a shaded area. When I move to the right side, a coordinate pops up and it gives me where my lines intersect at 4, -3. That is how you find the intersection on your calculator. I would pause the video so you can get all of these steps. All right, so what else goes along with systems is sometimes we have to write a system. So in this case, MRHS is selling hats for $9 and shirts for $11. They sell 142 hats and shirts for a total of $1,446. Write a system where X represents hats and Y represents shirts. How many did they sell of each? So they want to know what X and Y is. If that's the case, I need to write myself a system, 2 equations that represent everything I've been told. Well, I've been told hats are $9 and shirts are $11, and they equal $1,446. I've also been told that the number of hats and the number of shirts were equal to 142. So what is it that I can do now? I can go ahead and solve both of those for y. So I can graph both equations. For the bottom one, all I need to do is subtract x from both sides, and my equation is now y equals 142 minus x. On the one on top, I'm going to get 11y equals 1,446 minus 9x. And then I'm going to get y equals that divided by 11, that's divided by 11 to give me my equation. I will put both of these into my calculator and graph them. And I will get the answer of 58 hats and 84 shirts. Make sure you go try this yourself to make sure that you can do this correctly. All right, for those that actually have a graphing calculator at home, this right here is another useful way to find solutions. This makes it to where you don't even have to graph. You don't have to change the equations at all. You just have to type them into your calculator. If you want these steps, pause the video. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do what this is telling us in our calculator. So I'm going to bring my calculator up. first step that it mentioned on how to find a solution to a system of equations was to go to the calculate screen. Then from there, press menu, then 3, and then 2. This will bring this little box up. Don't change anything, just press enter. The thing that you want is for these two boxes to come up, and you want to type in whatever the two equations are. So like the first equation that they had in that box was y equals negative x plus 1. Then go down to the next box and type in the second equation, 2x equals negative y plus 5. Then press enter and notice it gives you the solution. If you know how to do these steps, this is probably the easiest way to find the solution to a system. Practice it if you have a graphing calculator at home, and make sure you know how to do this every time, and you will get these questions right. If you don't have a graphing calculator at home, I would suggest making sure you know how to graph and get your equations equal to y. It's similar to what you do in Desmos, but still you have to know the steps of how to do this in the calculator. All right, guys, go do your practice for today. And that's it.